Well, one thing I can say about Stan Sehested is he was prompt to send that email. He writes, "We can confirm that at about 10:45 a.m. today, that's December 4th, in our Cedar Bayou plant, employees and contractors doing maintenance near a valve were exposed to a release of a heat transfer fluid. This release has caused some eye and inhalation irritation to 2 persons working in the area. Plant medical personnel provided medical assistance, and 1 individual was transported to a hospital, San Jacinto Methodist Hospital, for observation. We do not believe there is any further danger to anyone working in the area. Contact Stan Sehested, General Manager, Corporate Communications, Chevron Phillips Chemical Company, LP." I replied back to him, "Thanks for the prompt response. What was the fluid?" His reply back to me, "A type of heat transfer fluid." So I replied back to him, "Sounds like DowTherm. Only thing I can think of that might cause inhalation issues." Those last email exchanges came back and forth pretty quickly, but this one took a little more than a half hour. "Correct," was his one-word answer. So what exactly is this DowTherm? It's a synthetic organic heat transfer fluid, according to its manufacturer, Dow Chemical Company. It's a heat transfer fluid that's a eutectic mixture of 2 very stable compounds, biphenyl and diphenyl oxide. These compounds have practically the same vapor pressures, so the mixture can be handled as if it were a single compound. DowTherm is a fluid that may be used in systems employing either liquid phase or vapor phase heating. Recommended temperature range from 60 degrees F to 750 degrees F. Suitable applications, indirect heat transfer. According to an NIH website, National Institutes of Health website, this is the structure of the 2 compounds that comprise DowTherm. The one on the left you can see has 2 benzene rings with an oxygen atom in the middle, and the one on the right is 2 benzene rings end to end. This is the eutectic mixture that comprises DowTherm. Let's take a look at what NIOSH has to say about it, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. Looking at their website, the number that jumps out at me is their IDLH number, 10 parts per million. They're saying that at 10 parts per million of exposure for any amount of time, DowTherm might be immediately dangerous to life or health. Now, of course, we don't know what the level of exposure was of the workers, but only 10 parts per million is all it takes for NIOSH to consider it immediately dangerous to life or health. That's not much. Very little exposure can be immediately dangerous to life or health. Let's take a look at the Hazardous Substances Data Bank, which is put on by the National Library of Medicine, another branch of the government. This is what they write about human health effects, human toxicity excerpts. They write, when concentration of 3 or 4 parts per million in air are reached, there is irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat. In one instance, the man received in the eyes a spray of fine droplets of DowTherm under pressure. He felt no immediate discomfort, but within 5 minutes he began to feel stinging and burning of the eyes and also of the skin about his eyes. So 3 to 4 parts per million can cause eye, nose, and throat irritation. Here's what the National Library of Medicine writes about clinical effects. Section 0.2.1, Summary of Exposure. Acute exposure. Biphenyl is an irritant of the eyes, nose, throat, mucous membranes, and respiratory tract. Biphenyl is a powerful lung irritant by inhalation. Repeated dermal contact can result in sensitization dermatitis. Eye exposure produces redness and pain. Effects reported after acute exposure include cough, headache, flaccid paralysis, anorexia, nausea, vomiting or diarrhea, bronchitis, insomnia, depression, memory loss, facial paralysis, vertigo, numbness, and aching of the extremities and fatigue. Acute and chronic exposure result in central and peripheral nerve damage and severe liver injury. Let's look under carcinogenicity, section 0.2.21. It reads in part, the agent, mixture, is probably carcinogenic to humans. The exposure circumstance entails exposures that are probably carcinogenic to humans. Probably carcinogenic. They don't know for sure, and they're not sure at what levels. But what they're saying, this U.S. government website is saying that biphenyl, which is part of DowTherm, is probably carcinogenic to humans. So what does carcinogenic mean? It means that this substance that these workers were exposed to is probably a substance or agent that can cause cancer. It's probably a substance or agent that can cause cancer. Let's take another look at this phrase, a heat transfer fluid. That's what Chevron Phillips Chemical said in their news release, that it was a heat transfer fluid that the workers were exposed to.